Alyssa Thomas had one clear job from the very beginning, and that was to play tough against Clark whenever she got close to the paint. She kept making heavy contact, setting hard screens that felt almost impossible to avoid, throwing elbows inside, and doing everything she could to make Indiana's offense struggle right from the start. It was the same strategy Thomas used back in 2024 when she made strong contact with Clark and the referees chose not to react. Phoenix remembered how well that worked before, so they decided to use that same plan again. Denver looked completely out of rhythm in that first quarter. Their shot selection was poor, the ball movement slowed down, and Indiana just could not create any clean chances against Phoenix's aggressive defense. Kelsey Mitchell managed to knock down a three-pointer in the final seconds of the quarter, and without that shot, the Fever would have ended the quarter with only 3 points. Just 3 points, which means only one made field goal in 10 minutes of professional basketball, and Phoenix was clearly gaining more confidence from it with every possession.
Another look here at the heavy contact. A little bit of a shoulder there. Not a little bit, a lot of a shoulder there for Alyssa Thomas.
Yeah, they're not going to look at this. They might.
It's gotten the fans here fired up.
Then came the elbow. In the fourth quarter, Thomas and Clark got caught up fighting for a loose ball, and during that moment, Thomas swung an elbow straight toward Clark's head. Different camera angles captured the whole thing clearly, and there was no confusion in the footage or any angle that made it look different from what actually happened. After reviewing the play, the referee made the call, but instead of putting the foul on Thomas, it was called on Clark. Clark, who avoided what could have easily been seen as a flagrant 2 foul, ended up walking away from that moment with the foul added to her own record.
I would say this, okay? When you see the elbow, you go, oh.
This was not a simple missed call where the referee's view was blocked. The referee saw the entire play, watched Clark take the elbow, and still called the foul on her. That made it far more controversial. Moments later, Clark also received a technical foul just for clapping her hands. Looking at the pattern since 2024, it keeps happening. Thomas makes contact, nothing gets called, or the foul goes against Clark. At this point, it no longer feels like a coincidence.
At 41, 12 on the shot clock. Thomas bumps off Clark, misses.
What Phoenix misjudged was that the Indiana Fever in 2026 were not the same team Thomas had pushed around before. Once the game got physical, it sparked their response. Caitlin Clark exploded for 15 points in the second quarter, attacking off the dribble, hitting deep shots, and shifting the momentum. After looking out of it early, Indiana stormed back to tie the game at 41 by halftime.
Clark from way outside drops a three. Couple 50-50 balls on the last 2 possessions have gone the way of Phoenix, and it turned into buckets. Clark, oh yeah! Here we go. Clark almost got that 5th foul. Find inside. It's Boston.
The connection between Caitlin Clark and Monique Billings was a key part of that run, something Indiana Fever fans had been waiting to see. Clark said after the game that their chemistry came naturally because they had already played together for United States women's national basketball team. That connection showed in the second quarter, with Clark feeding Billings in the post for easy finishes, while Raven Johnson also stepped up, making it harder for Phoenix to focus only on Clark.
Indiana brings a double that time.
Clark, Mitchell is on an island. Clark wants to keep piling on. When will they pick her up here? She's not been afraid to let it fly from out there. Clark just spins off of Broshan. Indiana has numbers. Clark launch ahead, and Hall hits a three.
While Clark was pulling Indiana back into the game, Phoenix kept up the physical pressure, and things got more intense when Dana Bonner got involved with Clark in a way that felt like more than the usual tough play you expect in a WNBA game. That was the moment Sophie Cunningham stepped in. There was no hesitation and no waiting to see what would happen next. Cunningham quickly placed herself between Clark and Bonner and made it clear that if Bonner wanted to keep pushing the situation further, she would have to deal with Sophie Cunningham. Back in 2025, when J.C. Sheldon tried to poke Caitlin Clark in the eye, Cunningham stepped in to defend her, even as a new teammate. From that moment, it was clear she had no tolerance for cheap shots and was always ready to stand up for Clark.
Sophie commits a hard foul on J.C. Sheldon. Again, as J.C. Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her. She didn't do anything, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm biased here, but I'm gonna give you guys my straight up honest opinion on this. She bear hugged her, took her to the ground. Yes, it was intentional.
Sophie Cunningham once explained that when you truly care about people, you want to see them succeed and become their best. That mindset explains why she is so protective of Caitlin Clark. For her, it goes beyond basketball strategy. It is about not letting dirty plays go unanswered. Now that they are teammates again, that side of her looks stronger than ever. She spaces the floor, plays tough defense, and is always ready to respond when Clark is targeted, even picking up a technical in the fourth quarter during the chaos. 7th against Chicago Sky, because that game explains why what Natasha Howard did on June 22 mattered so much. J.C. Sheldon had already built a history of targeting Caitlin Clark, swiping at her eyes more than once in that game. While Clark stayed focused on running the offense and helping her team, someone on the other side was watching it all and did not forget.
Boston can't finish. Pass ahead. Sheldon.
A few possessions later, J.C. Sheldon drove to the basket, and Alyssa Smith met her with a huge block that sent her to the floor. It felt like more than just a physical play, it was a statement. Right after, cameras caught Caitlin Clark on the sideline looking almost sympathetic, which made the contrast even stronger. That moment connected to a bigger pattern. Clark had been taking hard hits and cheap shots in the WNBA, often without protection from teammates or officials, while being expected to keep playing through it. Thomas threw an elbow on June 22 and the foul was called on Caitlin Clark instead. Myisha Hines-Allen stepped in immediately. The moment escalated, and Hines-Allen shoved Thomas in response. After already picking up one technical, the second got her ejected. By standing up for her teammate, she showed the entire Indiana Fever roster that she was willing to take that risk for Clark, a kind of moment that can strengthen trust and change a locker room. Was ejected for shoving Alyssa Thomas. It sent a clear message that any cheap shots at Caitlin Clark would not go unanswered. Sophie Cunningham and Hines-Allen made it clear that physical play would come with consequences. On top of that, Clark recorded her 6th straight game with at least 20 points and 5 assists, breaking her own WNBA record while dealing with hard contact, a technical foul, and her teammate being ejected for defending her. Clark finished with 24 points, 9 assists, and just 3 turnovers in 29 minutes. In a chaotic game, that assist-to-turnover ratio stood out, showing how well she read the defense and controlled the offense. She did it while taking contact, dealing with tough calls, and carrying a huge workload. Her scoring and playmaking directly created more than half of the Indiana Fever's 86 points, proof of just how much the team relied on her.
Billings. Oh, nobody picked her up. She will waltz to the rim. And Indiana has gone from down 16 to up 10.
Monique Billings finished with 14 points and 10 rebounds, and her chemistry with Caitlin Clark stayed strong throughout the game. Their United States women's national basketball team connection showed in Billings' timing and Clark's passing. Kelsey Mitchell added 22 points, giving the Indiana Fever 3 players in double figures and making the offense much harder to stop. The fourth quarter then turned chaotic, with 6 technical fouls and 1 ejection in a short stretch involving Alyssa Thomas, DeWanna Bonner, Sophie Cunningham, Myisha Hines-Allen, and Clark, with Clark's technical for clapping becoming the biggest talking point. Chaos. Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner went to the free throw line and both missed. Caitlin Clark watched it all with a reaction that said enough on its own. In basketball, there's a saying, ball don't lie, and on June 22nd, it felt like the game answered back for everything that had just happened. Caitlin Clark left the game with 24 points, a new record, and most importantly, the win. Monique Billings recorded a double-double, while Kelsey Mitchell added 22 points. The only real loss for the Indiana Fever was Myisha Hines-Allen's minutes after her ejection. In the post-game press conference, Clark made it clear she thought the technical foul for clapping was ridiculous and did not hold back in saying it.
Pick up the tech tonight, 5th of the season.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I got a technical for clapping. So, like, if we should all just go on the calendar now and pick a game that I'm going to be suspended for if I'm going to get technicals for clapping. I asked Gerda. Gerda said that I got a technical for clapping. So, if any technical should be taken away, it should be that one. If it's truly for clapping, that's what they said they gave it to me for was for clapping. So it's just ridiculous. I don't understand it at all.
So even within that though, how aware do you have to be of the 8 technical fouls?
I mean, I'm going to play with emotion. I'm going to play with passion. And if they're going to give me a technical foul for clapping, then so be it. That's their choice. And
Caitlin Clark said after the game that referee Gerda Gatling gave her the technical for clapping and instigating. Clark responded by saying if clapping is enough for a technical, then maybe they just do not like competitive basketball. She even joked that if that is the standard, they might as well mark the date for her suspension now. Stephanie White took a more measured approach, saying the team must stay composed while also pointing out that certain calls should not change a game's flow. Clark's bigger point was the inconsistency. Alyssa Thomas threw an elbow with no punishment, while Clark got a technical for clapping, 2 moments in the same quarter where the calls still went against her.
The league can come back and review that play, and I'd love to hear what they say of the reasoning of why I got the technical foul in that situation and why other players on their team didn't get a technical foul in that situation. If anything, split it. Okay, fine. Everybody gets a technical foul. That wasn't how they were handed out. So I'd love to know, but obviously that's what I went to Gerda and said. I said, why'd you give me a technical foul? She said, because I was clapping and instigating. I said, okay, then you just don't like competitive basketball. And that's just facts. That's just reality. So disappointing from them.
The reaction came fast, with major outlets covering Caitlin Clark's comments as the debate over officiating and her treatment continues to grow. What made it stand out even more was that she said it after a win, not after a loss. Clark had 24 points, broke her own WNBA record, and still openly called the officiating ridiculous. With Phoenix Mercury and Indiana Fever set for a rematch, the tension from June 22nd carried over. Between the elbow, technicals, ejection, and record-breaking performance, the message was clear: Indiana is no longer a team that will quietly accept physical play, with Sophie Cunningham and Myisha Hines-Allen showing they are ready to stand up for their teammates.